Hello, good people. I wanted to support you today with mind stuff because the mind will take anything and run with it. And if you're dealing with some anxiety, as most human beings are, around the coronavirus, then you will want to have some handle on the mind. Now, remember, this stuff is a life's journey. This is an ongoing practice. But so the practices happen by simply being aware of what we're doing in the moment, catch ourselves. And I always say the moment of awareness is a brilliant moment. So when you catch yourself, it's wonderful. Whether you catch yourself very quickly, whether you can interrupt the first beginning of a thought, whether you can stop it before it's verbal in your mind, or whether you realize, oh my God, I've been carrying this around all day and mulling it over. So the moment of awareness is a moment to celebrate. And if you are happy that you caught yourself, if you're celebrating that you're onto yourself instead of beating yourself up for what you just caught yourself doing, you will increase self-awareness. Why would we want to catch ourselves at something if punishment ensues? So it's not a punitive universe unless you make it one. So how about if we don't do that? So hey, the mind will do what it does. And if you're feeling anxiety in the body, and I always like to separate out tending the mind and minding the pain body, you want to simply sometimes breathe at the anxiety. You want to just close your eyes, drop in, find the breath, and simply feel it coursing through your system. Just deal with it on the pain body level as often as you can. But so for the thoughts that reassert themselves, I'd like to offer a few things. First of all, do not permit yourself to ruminate. Do not be in an ongoing thought process about what's going to happen, what could happen, what might be, what the worst case scenario is, what the facts are, what the likelihood of you or somebody you love or whatever the numbers are going to be for people getting sick. That didn't work grammatically, but I think you got the point. So I invite you not to think all the time. So interrupt that. And then if you have something else to do when you catch yourself in needless, repetitive thought, and what that helps a lot. So what you can do in those moments is use reset buttons. Know your reset buttons. Drink water, stretch, do yoga or some longer practice. And you can do a 5-minute or 3-minute yoga, qigong, whatever you've got. Explore with using the internet stuff that you don't have time to do very often. So interrupt the mind, and in the moments that it's trying to take over, find something to give your attention to, whether it's a breath, a stepping outside, leaning out a window, whatever you've got to reset, do that. And dropping in to just feel the body, feel the breath is always powerful. So for the mind, what I invite you to do is have specific times when you meet the thoughts that distress you. Have times when you're actively consciously in a process, not just of letting the mind take off and run with your worst fears, because that's how the mind does. It really, we trick ourselves into thinking that we're thinking about something, but non-productive thought, where we're really just mulling over the same things again and again in a way that terrifies us and enhances and increases anxiety, is not a good idea. So have times when you're looking at your thoughts clearly. You might use an inquiry process. Go to thework.com and play with the work of Byron Katie. There is an app, the work of Byron Katie app. There is a helpline that you can find, and basically people leave their contact information and question your thoughts. But that's just one tool. You could also journal in a way that's conscious, not just whining or not just recording all your fears, but actually writing down your fears and going, okay, well, so no wonder I'm feeling so anxious. Who wouldn't be believing this? You might look at worst case scenario in a very clear, conscious way, as opposed to sitting around fantasizing about funerals and deaths and counts and horrors and awful lengths of time and awful circumstances and wherever your mind's going. So I invite you to actually sit with worst case scenario and notice how you can get okay with it. Get okay with your death. Get okay with other people's deaths. And I don't mean okay in a way that, woohoo, we love this, but in a way that you're actually aligned with life on planet Earth and the reality and truth of it, you're accepting it. You're seeking to get okay with it. You're seeking to release your grip. And all of this practice of accepting our impermanence, dealt with in tricky times, can only serve you to be a better human being and show up for your life better when things are fine or when things are amazing. And you know that that's the way of it, that there are ups and downs. Hey, it's not even we're in a terrible time now and later we'll be in a good time again. You can have a million good moments on a plague day. Like, seriously, find those moments. Look for all that supports you. Let your mind consciously be filled by you with things that make you feel better and clearer. But so if you sat down and looked at worst case scenario, for example, and you try to get okay with it, then also look at, okay, what are my chances of getting worst case scenario? There's a whole spectrum of possibility for anything that ever happens. The percentage of the likelihood of worst case scenario in most cases is pretty low, and there's a whole spectrum of other possibilities, and you're not in reality if you're obsessing about worst case scenario. Because if you're spending, say, 90% on the time hovering mentally over 1% of what, like something that has 1% likelihood of happening, you're not in reality. So sure, look reality in the face. And so that's going to mean that you need to spend more time on all the possible scenarios, that all the cool things that could happen, all the healing, all the greater shifts that could come in for human beings to actually make some changes in some systems we have in place that really aren't serving us. Okay, so I'll stop there about that. Let me see if there's anything else I want to say about the mind. You get to choose your focus. And on my website, jayathetrustcoach.com, there's a tab called Great Tools. And one of them details how to do a focus wheel from Abraham Hicks. I find those very helpful. What people call gratitude lists are very helpful. Abraham has turned me against the word gratitude just because it can have a sort of righteous, punitive, like, oh, you're not being grateful, or you're not worthy sort of piece to it. So, but lists of what you appreciate, of all you've got in place to support you, of all that you could actually look at and feel good about. We could name 100 things all the time, and if that's a practice you want to do every day while things are hard, brilliant. Do that. So use the mind in ways that actually keep you in a better state and support you to be able to manage anxiety by noticing it, lovingly responding to it with breath, with awareness, and don't rev it up and make yourself crazy by walking around with permission to be in an ongoing rumination in a way that does not serve you. So I invite you to play with all of that. Again, I invite questions if you'd like to offer some, and I'm here with you and for you as we all go through this together. Well, I can't find the finish bar. Oh, I just found it, but I just remembered, hey, go to Instagram and look up what Gal Gadot, or however her name is pronounced, Wonder Woman, how she put together the song Imagine, having different celebrities from wherever they were just sing a snippet of the song. It's kind of beautiful. So, yeah, that.